Welcome to the Catholic Table Talk podcast. This is where everything Catholic is on the table. New episodes Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on most podcast platforms. Here's your host, William Sauber.
And we're back with another show again this week, everyone. Thank you again for your continued support of the show. Really appreciate you coming on again and listening or watching the show wherever you listen or watch the show at. And today we are kind of digging into a topic that we have really discussed on the show before with multiple pro-life speakers. Is we're going to talk about just kind of pro-life and again, we're going to kind of go back into pro-life and a pro-life family, as well as a website from the speaker that you should be familiar with, and you can get great content from as well. So we're going to do that today, as well as just enrich your mind of what us as Christian Catholics believe and why we should respect and be pro-life. So that is today's episode. Again, Easter just happened a few days ago. We're in the Easter season, and again, it's kind of springtime. New life. All the animals out in the wild are giving birth or laying eggs, and eggs are hatching, and it's new life going on. So I think this is a fitting topic for this type of season that we're in now, as we're in the Easter season when the show comes out. Doesn't matter what season you listen to more in the future, but it's a great topic that, again, it's never, I should say, you should never get too much out of this topic because you can always go deeper with this topic, I feel like. So today we have a special guest coming on the show from EWTN Radio. So very excited to have her on, Dr. Coleen Mast. She is an author, a speaker, a radio show host, like I said, and a life coach with pioneer in the field of chastity and education. She shares her experiences as a teacher, mother, mentor, and friend to help with individuals and families throughout the country via her radio show, resources, and presentations. Mast holds a Helion, a doctorate in human letters from Princeton University, a master's degree in health education, and a secondary teaching certificates in four specialty fields: theology, health, physical education, and science. For books which include, Mast has written books, both Love and Life and Sex Respect educational programs, which include books and videos for teachers and teens. Our newest program, Love Ed, which we'll also talk about today, is now available from St. Benedict Press and includes 6 workbooks and 5 video discussion seminars for parents and teachers of young children, preteens, and also teens. So let's welcome into the show for the first time, radio show host, and like just a great woman who's doing God's work, Coleen Mast. So Coleen, thank you again for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. I know that my radio listeners once in a while like to see what I look like because they always recognize my voice. I'll be at a conference or something speaking, and somebody will be walking by me and they're like, "Oh, it's you, Coleen Mast. I recognize your voice," but they don't always get to see my face. So that's what makes podcasts so much fun. So it's great to be here with you to talk about pro-life and my new Love Ed program and just help parents and grandparents and godparents and everybody just be more pro-life and have tools to use to help their families, because we have to change the culture. Right. Remember, we grew up in a Judeo-Christian culture that basically was moral and respectful, and there were always people that lived a life of sin, but right now it's the life of sin that is the norm, and those of us trying to live the 10 Commandments are, I would say, the minority right now.
Sure. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, it's a lot more people, just not really respecting or think that we're just kind of off the wall with what we're trying to live out. And yeah, I agree with that totally.
Yeah,
So
both in my radio show and in my life coaching business, I run into so many families, couples, individuals who really want to know, am I crazy or is the rest of the culture crazy? Because they start wondering, they get invited to a strange wedding, or they're arguing with a person they think is really a good Catholic, about abortion and the elections coming up. And so they need just to reconnect. That's why a lot of people listen to my show, Mast Appeal, on Saturday mornings on EWTN, because they're wondering, like, is something wrong with me or is something wrong with them? And they just really, we need to stick together. Catholics who live the truth and want to spread the truth, we just really need to stick together because it's an uphill battle out there.
no, and it totally is. And like I said, I mean, I think no matter what, I mean, full life especially, but no matter what topic you're learning about or what you're talking about to people, you really need to have more of understanding of it. And yeah, because that's the thing about, worldly desires and everything. It's like, wait a minute, is this Christianity, Catholic Catholicism thing? Is this really truly what I'm supposed to be doing? But yeah, so no, totally agree. So and that's what I kind of want talked with today, Coleen, is again is I mean what about pro-life? I mean, again, this is cultural. It's kind of lopsided of what people think, what people believe in it. You either like pro-life or you're not pro-life, and you're either for abortion or you're against abortion. I mean, yeah, it's just crazy. So, what does a pro-life family look like in today's society? I mean, when, like you said, people tuning into your radio show, I mean, what what do you tell them about a pro-life family that if a especially a younger family, I think, in today's society, if they're really struggling to be a pro-life family, what does that look like? That everyone should kind of role model after.
Yeah, aspire to be. That
Right.
is a very good question, William. What does a pro-life family look like? Well, first of all, there are pro-life families that are not Catholic. There are few.
Sure.
I mean, there are even very few Catholic families that are
Right.
totally pro-life. They'll go like, well, I'll go this far, but not that far. Or,
Right.
like, they think against abortion this much, but not that much. And maybe I'm for birth control, but not abortion. And or like for serious reasons, they did something to keep themselves from being pro-life. So it's there are levels of it. So I do have friends who are Protestant but use natural family planning and are open to life and don't get sterilized and are anti-abortion and things like that. And I have lots of Catholic friends that are. So
Sure.
Catholic families that are pro-life, first of all, are open to life, open to the possibility of life with each marital act. First of all, we hope they wait until marriage, but
Right.
there's conversions along the way, right?
Oh
Hopefully
yeah.
they cohabitate, but again, there are conversions along the way. And to be pro-life doesn't mean you lived it all the way along. It's great if you did, but in my Love Ed parent guide, in the early introduction, I start with King David, who, as people that know the scriptures, know that he lusted after Bathsheba while her husband was away at war, trying to help King David, being one of the leaders. And then he had relations with her. She got pregnant. Then King David sent and brought this husband home to cover for his error, for his sin, thinking that maybe maybe they wouldn't know that she got pregnant outside of the marriage if he just came back and had relations with her. But he was so committed to being strong for war that he abstained then and didn't have relations with her. Then King David had Uriah the Hittite, Bathsheba's husband, killed at the front line. So we've got murder, we've got adultery, we've got lust, we've got deception, all these things going on. And so even if someone wasn't pro-life from the start, they can be seek God's forgiveness. And some of the strongest pro-life people actually are people who saw or had those wounds or saw the problems of abortion and now want to correct that and do reparation for that. But I figured that if God is so merciful, he still let his son Jesus come out of David's family. He's
True.
really merciful.
Right.
So God can forgive whatever, any listeners out there, any sexual sin, any anti-life sin. God is so merciful that Jesus can still come out of your family. And so,
Right.
but a family that starts from the beginning, I would say, waits until marriage, does not cohabit before marriage, gets married in the church, because we need that sanctifying grace to get us through all the struggles and the imperfections and the faults of life. But then they're open to life. They do not use any birth control, not barriers, not chemicals, and they, with prayerful consideration and a generous spirit, decide, that's a quote from Humanae Vitae, that decide should they use this month to conceive or use this month to wait. And so if there's no serious reasons for spacing births, that they can afford it, they're mentally healthy, they can, they have the spiritual resources, and then they have no serious reasons for spacing births, right? So you'll see a lot of pro-life families have a child, they'll nurse that baby about a year and a half, and have another child, and they'll nurse that baby and have another child. So the ultimate probably in pro-life would be that, to have all the children God wants you to have, as long as you're using your brain and not, what I remember a cardinal saying, not have a large family, not because of lust, but because of love and openness to life, not because you can't control yourselves, but because you do have self-mastery, as Pope John Paul II would say, and you can plan the family size that God wants you to have. And then if there are serious reasons for spacing births, a family would learn natural family planning, learn the natural rhythms of the body, and then abstain that 1 week of the month that is potentially the time that the egg is present and the couple could get pregnant. So that is being pro-life, is not using birth control, not being sterilized, having children and respecting your children. You don't go around complaining about your kids all the time to your friends, even at your homeschool playgroup. Like, you respect your children, you respect the powers you have to give life. A man, a husband who respects life, who is pro-life, would master himself so he would always be considerate of his wife first, not his own needs, and care about her. If she has a headache, you give her a head massage, like try to help her feel good, help her in the kitchen, help put the kids to bed, so a pro-life dad would help his wife be pro-life by not complaining about her kids, by helping out around the house. Both of you are, the mother and father of these children, and you want to serve God in every way you can and be kind to one another. That's being pro-life. I mean, the fifth commandment is not just, did I murder anybody today, but are you sarcastic? Are you critical? So look at being pro-life is respecting that life, respecting your powers to give life, and then training and teaching your children to do so too, so that they are so strong that when they go out in this insane world that is the evil one is just creeping around looking for the ruin of souls, as we pray in the St. Michael prayer, and they teach their children from the beginning how to respect life. Like, my mom had 9 children.
Wow.
And I was an accident, you might say, because she thought you couldn't get pregnant while you were breastfeeding. And my older sister was 4 months old and nursing. And surprise, surprise, here I am. And so I always think that if there's 3 people in a marriage, a man, a woman, and God, what's wrong if the wisest of the 3, being God, does the family planning? So I think God planned me after I got over my high school discouragement, where I saw these signs on the bus in Chicago. I grew up in the Chicago suburbs. These signs on the bus by Planned Parenthood said, every child a planned child, every child should be a planned child. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? I wasn't planned. I was an accident. Then I realized that God showed me, no, he planned me. He wanted me to be here. He's like, okay, who's open to life down there? I need some help. Oh, they're open to life. I need, this personality, this brain, this work ethic. And he put my parents together that one night, maybe through the desires of my mom or dad. And so God shows me. And if we all looked at it that way, that even our creation from the beginning was God's choice, that's being pro-life. So that is, in a nutshell, how
Right.
that worked. And my mom was so pro-life that I learned, and what led me to this work, teaching chastity, teaching love ed, is that my mom was very open about answering our questions. And my sister, that was a year older than I am, and I would like sit at the bottom of her bed when she was pregnant, because to us, she was always pregnant or nursing a baby, with 9 kids. And but she did take a little break there when my dad was sick, so she did have a few years off. But we lived the theology of the body in our family. That we saw that my mom was life-giving. She was pro-life, and we'd ask her simple questions like, "How does the baby get out of there?" And she'd give us the most pro-life, beautiful answer that said, "God miraculously opens the womb and stretches open the muscles so the baby can slide out." How much more beautiful a description is that about life?
That is.
And then we ask her, like, what's a honeymoon for? And then she says, a honeymoon is after you get married, now you're a new family. So it's okay to practice getting dressed and undressed in the same bedroom. And so when you go on a vacation all by yourselves, just the two of you, nobody else comes along, and you practice, because you might be embarrassed at first getting dressed and undressed in the same room. You might even want to change into your nightgown in the bathroom, but it's a vacation that you go on to just practice being the same family together. So I'm like, what a perfect answer. How, especially for our innocent level. One of the chapters of my love ed book is called Innocent but Not Ignorant. So we walked out of there confident. We know what a honeymoon's for. We didn't know how we were conceived or anything like that, but we knew what a honeymoon was for. So, but she always gave like a double-edged answer. And so then when I'm on a date, when I'm 18, 19 years old, and I'm with a guy that puts his arm around me and starts unbuttoning the top of my blouse, I'm like, I don't think this is a honeymoon. This is not a honeymoon. And if a honeymoon is where you're supposed to practice getting dressed and undressed in the same room together, we're not supposed to be doing this now. So you see how she would give a real innocent answer, but it had a double meaning that you took with you the rest of life. So that education my mom gave me helped me develop these teachings that I developed when I wrote Love and Life, A Christian Sexual Morality for Teens. And the only reason I wrote that is because I was teaching in a Catholic high school, and the kids were super enthused about chastity, and nobody could believe it, that I would teach them about chastity and pro-life, and that 16-year-olds would love it. So so people said, can you write this down? And I'm like, well, I'm not an author, but I guess I better become one,
Sure.
And when I was in graduate school in a public university, I kept writing in the margins how all these teachings that we knew that were Catholic really matched with health. Like, God wants the best for you. He invented everything. He is the greatest scientist. And so I'd be writing in my margins of my notes how, like, when they teach, drug education or driver's ed, or, they are never two-sided. They're always one-sided. So I was thinking, this is the most healthy way to have a marriage life, to prepare for marriage, is through chastity. So I wrote Sex Respect from a public health perspective that was used in public schools for several years. And I'm actually revising it again for next year's school year. Nice. And then my bishop came to me and said, we need something at a different level, because you can't wait till they're teenagers. And then the document in 2008 from the USCCB, the US bishops, called Catechetical Formation in Chaste Living. And I'm going to quote from that. It says, assisting parents of adolescents and youth in the formation of their children for chaste living is essential to their formation in the Catholic faith, and should be mandatory in Catholic schools and in parish religious education and youth ministry programs, preschool through 12th grade. Now, the bishops did not say, let the school do it. Like some of these programs have a K through 12 program, but this should not be done in the classroom. So they said, assisting parents is what the teaching said. So how do we assist parents? So my bishop came to me and he said, Coleen, find me something that really assists parents, and the teachers don't have to do this and take over for the parents, or say, oh, the parents aren't going to do it, or just has like teach the kids in the school and then it sends a little letter home to the parents, or sets a assisted, booklet, questions to discuss at home. He said, what really assists the parents? So I looked all over the world. every English speaking country, England, Australia, some countries in Asia. And I came back to the bishop about 3 months later and I said, there is nothing like that truly just empowers the parent. And so he says, Coleen, write one.
Right.
And so I'm like, yes, Bishop, and he had already, I had already written Love and Life and Sex Respect for Teens. So now it was time to do something that would help parents keep their kids innocent, but not ignorant at different age levels.
Right. Yeah. I mean, wow. No, I totally agree with what the bishop, what you said there. I mean, totally agree. And I mean, just well said and everything. Like, I mean, just trying to go back and talk about everything that you talked about. I mean, like, go back with you said, you were kind of, your mom said you were kind of accident. I mean, my dad was the same way. It was his mom was like, well, you're kind of accident. You weren't really planned by us. You kind of happened. And like you said, that's God planned you. And yeah, he's like, yeah. So yeah, that was great, and as well as having kids, keep having kids every year and a half, like you said. Like my sister, I mean, she had a kid and she had another kid about a year and a half later. It's like, wow, already, but it's like, yeah, that's a good time to have them. And like just having, like you said, just what I've got from what you were talking about there, Colleen, was just how much um people in your life has kind of impacted you on, being pro-life and everything, which is just such a beauty to be around. All those role models and those people to help you go along your pro-life journey. And I think you gave great insights on what a pro-life family should look like, and um people that you should maybe look to, or people you should find and stuff that you should find to help you become more whole life in that category. So I know I want to kind of keep moving along because I want to get to your stuff, Love Ed as well. I do have one more question before we get to that and I think this is a really important question, and I think you might have touched on it a little bit in the last what you were talking about there was, can a person be pro-family but not be pro-life? And what do I mean by that is, I mean, if especially like you said, I mean, a younger family maybe has a little more uncomfortable of what they should be doing, and a lot of people in today's society say we can't have any more kids or don't have kids, and a lot of younger families are kind of, do I say, embracing that call of not having kids. So, I mean, if you're a young family, just got married, and your whole family, you love your husband, you love your wife, you love your parents, you love your siblings, but can a person be full family in that direction, but not be pro-life, as to say, you know what, we're not going to unless God sends us, like someone or something happens, we're not going to plan to have a kid. Can a family be like that?
And the purpose of marriage
Right,
is love giving and life giving. The
right,
purpose of the marriage act is to bond that marriage and renew those marriage vows. So to intentionally enter marriage knowing that you refuse to have children is wrong, and it really invalidates the marriage. So we always have to be open to the possibility of life. Unfortunately, there's so much sterility out there now due to various things going on, and pollution or past use of birth control, past abortions, immunity for people who've had multiple sex partners. I mean, there's so many reasons. Just then the pollution of the world,
right. Oh yeah,
so many reasons that people cannot have children. And so it is, if they are married and hopefully married in the church, part of marriage is being pro-life. So to go into it saying I'm not going to have children is wrong. But if you work to have children, or if you're just open to that possibility, because you have hopefully regular relations with your spouse, that with that, we would be open to the possibility of life and are not able to conceive, you want to check with every possibility you can to see how I can heal that, starting with prayer. Jesus, can you heal my husband? Can you heal me? You know, your husband's praying, you know, can you heal my wife? And there are organizations like the Fertility Care Organization with the Pope Paul VI Institute in Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska, that help people understand naturally any problems they might have in infertility, and then naturally find a way to help that person get healthier so they can conceive. Again, we know that pro-life would not include in vitro fertilization, you know, or surrogate parenthood. Those things are all disrespecting the dignity of the human person. Although stimulating your own hormones with natural hormones or artificial hormones in order for you to be healthy, so the child can be born naturally of the Marriage Act, because every child, Pope John Paul II says, has a right to two parents who are married. And so you'd first find out, is there anything do I need to reduce stress in my life? I know one gal who quit work because they weren't able to conceive, and it was just so much, she was under a lot of stress at work. She quit her job, they relaxed and conceived. So I'd say find as many ways to get as healthy as you can, you know, eat the right foods, don't over exercise, you know, find a way to conceive a child that would be naturally with licit moral assistance if necessary. And then see if they do not conceive, what God is calling them to do to be pro-life. Is it to work in the pro-life movement? Is to help a pro-life organization develop their website? Is it to organize the pro-life fundraiser? I know my friend and I, when we were both teaching 7th grade back early in my career, when we were so horrified at Roe versus Wade, we were horrified that our country legalized abortion. We were horrified that babies were being killed every day. And we go to that ceremony every year at church, you know, on January 22nd. And we were horrified by that. So we just sat there and figured out, what can we do for pro-life?
Right.
You know, and so she decided to work at Birthright. And I decided to teach chastity better to prevent people from being put in that position. And then a family needs to be pro-life in their family, whether or not they have children, is to make their home a peaceful place, like living the 10 commandments, live all the virtues, become as virtuous as you can, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Make your home a really peaceful place, you know, be in harmony, you know, value good relationships with your spouse. Don't complain about your spouse to anybody.
Right.
You know, create this home of faith and prayer where God's presence and love are felt. And, you know, spend their downtime together. Don't just be off different directions. And, you know, and then they can also find nieces, nephews, neighbors, godchildren that need help. For all the single people out there, or the grandparents, or the people that are not able to have children, there are children out there that need you.
Right.
And they're not being cared for. Even if they look like they're being cared for, the parents are like on their phone like this, and the children are like jealous of the phone almost. You're
Right.
like, mommy, you know, you've seen those cartoons. So there are children out there for you to be attentive to, whether you're single or childless in any other way, that need somebody to take them for a walk at 4 o'clock when their mom's making dinner, for example, or when the parents get home from work, or bring them to church with you, or, you know, what can you do? So pray about that. What can a person do that does not have children, that can bring that love of God to them, so their life feels respected, so they feel worthwhile, so they know that God has a purpose for their life and a mission for their life, and help them think about that now that the spring is coming up, and, you know, help them think about you know, how the flowers grow and the leaves come out of the trees, and that God is the creator of all things, and help keep them in awe of God and all the other systems of their body, you know, their digestive system, the circulatory system, the nervous system, so that when it comes time to learn about the reproductive system, it's another wonderful system that God made. So people, even without children, need to look to see what children, like even a volunteer in a daycare center, or teach religious ed, like get in touch with children, because we have to change this next generation to be totally pro-life thinking and pro-life acting.
Right. Well said. And I mean, that you always got to teach the next generation, right? Because that's the next generation of the church. So if you don't teach them right, the next generation of the church is not going to be in very good hands because
You're
of
absolutely right.
so
If we don't teach them to be pro-life, they're going to pick up all this garbage going on in the culture. You're
right.
absolutely right about that.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, just well said. And just to kind of wrap up what we're talking about here, I mean, before we get into Love Ed, is like you said previously that, you know, I mean, people don't talk bad about your kids, don't talk negative about your kids, don't talk negative about your kids, don't talk negative about your spouse. But really, all the people that I've talked to, whether that's work, whether they're Catholic, whether, they're maybe falling away Catholic, whether that's non-Catholic, people outside of work. I always say, you know, I never really regretted having kids. I love my spouse. I love my, husband. I love my wife, and it's just a beautiful thing for having, to be a family and then to have kids, raise kids, and have that cycle going on. And Colleen, just like I said, we just grandma just passed away. My grandma just passed away, and she had 8 kids. She had, and then those 8 kids had 20 grandchildren, and then those grandchildren had 21 great grandchildren. So just from my grandma and grandpa, I mean, just see the family tree just grow and grow and grow. It's pretty amazing and pretty satisfactory over a
All these
lifetime.
generations of love.
White, absolutely. So yeah, I mean that's just another reason why people today, especially like I say, especially younger couples should really consider being more pro-life and pro-family in that aspect. All right, so let's get to your stuff, Colleen. Just again, just coming on the show is so generous of you, and so let's talk about your stuff. Love Ed, like you mentioned that way. Becoming more pro-life. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about Love Ed?
I'd be happy to, because
Right.
Love Ed is a revolutionary new approach to teaching children about God's plan for puberty, adolescence, human sexuality, marriage, and what love means, because people
Sure.
don't even know what love means anymore. So our marketing team came up with the beautiful title Love Ed. So it's the only program that actually teaches both the theology and the science of sexuality, and the only one that empowers parents to lead this discussion with their kids without fear. It's so exciting to put this on. So it is a video-based program that equips parents to continue to have these positive, life-changing conversations with their kids from ages 2 to 14. And then they can
Wow.
pick up with my other books, Love and Life and Sex Respect. So it's the only nationally published, parent-based, age-appropriate, gender-specific, I even have different programs for the boys and the girls, that tells the whole story of God's plan for life and love. So it's amazing and it's unique. And I thank God for inspiring me to put this together, and all the people that helped put it together. Actually, when we were interviewing video companies to do the videos, this one that stood out that would help, like, took all my stacks of scripts and lesson plans and wrote the video scripts. And I asked the guy who introduced me to him, like, I don't want anything twinged to not be like pro-life. And he goes, don't worry, he's a homeschooling dad with 10 kids and
Wow.
this big time video producer. So he produced corporate messaging videos. And so he was able to put beautiful messages in like 5 to 7 minute segments that the kids really, it keeps their attention very well. And
Wow.
so there are actually 5 programs that you can put on at your parish and get your DRE and your pastor on board to put this on. And then you invite the families at different times. One program is just for parents, raising kids that are strong, smart, and pure. Love Ed, raising kids that are strong, smart, and pure. So there is a parent booklet, couple hundred pages long, that covers every question they're going to ask you, and questions people have asked me. How do you answer a certain question about a certain problem when they're 3 or when they're 7 or when they're
Right.
14? It's different answers. Like the
Right.
3-year-old, you distract them. The 7-year-old, you teach them right from wrong. And the 14-year-old, you teach them how to practice self-mastery and go to
Right.
confession,
Yep.
so how to address, or when your kid is, if you're in a restaurant and they see something on TV that's so inappropriate, and you're like, oh my goodness, I protect them at home and here's this thing on TV, like how do you train that child, like by saying, you're right, I'm glad you were upset when you saw that. It's so wrong that evil people are putting that on our TVs. Here we are just going out for a hamburger and we get assaulted with lies from the devil, so anyway, it has so one program is just for parents. It's video based. So the videos they can stream from Tan Books and St. Benedict Press, and they can buy the books from us at respectforyou.com. So there's a program, a parent, okay, I'll start here. A parent
Okay.
could just buy the parent guide and they would be fine. There's so much information. My lifetime of giving talks like this is in the parent guide, Raising Kids, Love Ed, Raising Kids to be Strong, Smart, and Pure. But then there's the seminar your parish can put on for parents, whether or not you put on the father-son or mother-daughter seminars, a parish seminar for parents of kids ages 2, which recruits for the preschool, through
Right.
14. So like the parish school, in other words. And this has 6 videos. And then they have group discussion in that. Like they'll ask a question like, where did you learn, or how did you learn the teachings of morality? Did you learn them the same time as you learned the facts of life, a different time? Like just to get them talking about that, and how are you protecting your kids from the evil in the world? And they kind of create like a support system. They connect to God, they connect to their church, they connect to one another, to other parents,
Sure.
and then they get their Love Ed book after the seminar to take after the seminar, 6 videos and discussion. They have 6 more chapters in their own book that they take home. And
Wow.
these chapters cover, see, I have that open here on my, so it covers, first of all, the parent training discussion questions, and then what is the theology of the body? Like, what is God's plan for parents? Like, because what we see out in the world, or maybe the way we learned it was not good. Then the second chapter is teaching sexuality within the context of love, and creating an atmosphere in your home where they feel the love, they know the love, and they can see that this love of a husband and wife is good. And then the third chapter is Love Ed from your child age birth to 6. So from the first time they discover something in between their legs in the bathtub, to how you treat that, to why does Joey have 2 mommies, next door? To it. So any questions they ask when they're little, and like in my granddaughter's kindergarten class, one of the girls asked the kindergarten teacher the first week of school, "Can a girl marry a girl?"
Wow.
And the teacher in a Catholic school said, "Oh yeah, but they'd have to adopt children." So of course,
What?
my daughter is like flipping out on the phone with me. I decided to go help them. But anyway, so any questions from birth to age 6, then chapter 4 is Love Ed in the years of innocent. How do I keep them innocent but not ignorant? And that's where the beauty of our father, son, and mother, daughter programs come in. Then Love Ed for puberty. How do you teach them all the changes going on in their body? And then Love Ed for young adolescents. And that's one of my favorite chapters. It's so beautiful because you know what? A topic comes up in Advent,
What?
where we have the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, but the Gospel of the Virgin Birth. And everyone gets those 2 confused. So I use that setting and those scriptures to help a parent explain what it means to know someone. Or when Mary says, I've not had relations with a man, how could this be? So I describe how God created Jesus in Mary's womb, and how the rest of us are created ever since Adam and Eve. So it just takes you into the scripture. So as I said, even if you don't go to the video seminar, you've got all that stuff in the parent guide. So then so that's 1 seminar and 1 book. Then we've got 4 other books and 4 other seminars. There's a father-son level 1, father-son level 2. Level 1 is ages about 9 to 11, but girls might be 8 to 11 in theirs. And then level 2 is the about 12 to 15. So level 1, there's a level 1 father-son, a level 1 mother-daughter, and that's information about what is love, how do we practice love in our family, love in our friendships, and prepare for to create a loving family in the future. So what is love? What is God's love? There's a video on that. There's an introductory scenario of a kid their age that draws them in. It's like a TV show, kind of a snippet, beautifully created, where in the level 1, they'll see a kid with problems their own age, like a 10-year-old, like the 10-year-old problem, Mariana. her friend already is in middle school and gets invited to this dance, or her friend gets to watch these movies on her tablet that her parents don't let her watch. So they have a scenario that the mother and daughter, or father and son, look at. And the boys one is about like bullying and power and control kind of thing. So the
Sure.
father, son, mother, and daughter watch. This is two separate programs. They're in two different rooms, even if you have it the same night, and they watch these video clips and then they discuss it with each other. So it makes it very simple. So video one is, how is our family like this family, or how are they not like this family? What do you think this problem they were in? So you see how we open a conversation, not just about the facts of life, but about life in general. So the parent gets comfortable conversing about this. Then video two, act two, is about love, the different kinds of love. Love is sacrificing yourself for the good of others. And we talk about, when mom, do I see you sacrificing yourself for the good of family? Or daddy, when do I see you sacrificing yourself? And how are you, my 10-year-old or 11-year-old, sacrificing yourself for the good of family? So how are we loving in our family? And then they have these awesome exercises in their books where they fill in, so I had it nearby here. They fill in a chart. Oh, here it is. A chart after that video where they go through a whole list of virtues: politeness, studying hard, honesty, playing fair, being trustworthy, praying at home with my family, being pious, making good decisions on my own, forgiving when I've been hurt. And the child rates themselves at how good they are at that particular virtue. So this is to prepare them for puberty. And then, how are you when you're with your friends? Because your friendships are going to change. And how are your friends when they're not with you? And then they analyze, am I hanging around with good friends? Is this going to help me be pure and holy and good and virtuous by hanging around with these people? So that's the second video. The third video is, oh no, that is my favorite. That one is the love of God. It's the theology of the body in video. Like, God is the greatest scientist. He's the greatest artist. And his greatest creation is a baby. And there's a little baby like laughing there, and that our mission in life is to love one another. But then it takes us into original sin, but man turned away from God. It's got a lot of kind of a creepy face in it, but then it shows all these scripture stories of like how God's going to send somebody to rescue you, like the Good Samaritan, even if your family life wasn't good, that all these different stories of the prodigal son, God will forgive you, so that sin can wreck relationships, because we have a lot of kids now whose parents are not married anymore.
Right.
Or maybe never married, or maybe divorced, and so it covers all that with some beautiful, innocent theology. Then act 4 of every level of the father, son, mother, daughter, both levels. In the younger level, the puberty level, they learn what changes are going to take place in their body in beautiful, very innocent animation. And not those crazy ones like Planned Parenthood has up, but beautiful, sacred animation. And they learn what's going to change in their body, how the girls learn about menstruation, the boys learn about changes that'll take place, how to respond to it not in sin, but what to do instead, with that anxiety or that tension that's built up, and to use that, put that to good use. And then what virtues they need to grow in. So act 4. So by the time they've talked about themselves, they've talked about their family, they've spoken about what love is, and love in their community, and love in their friendships, and then about God's love, and about sin and how sin wrecks relationship. Then by then the parent is so comfortable with the conversation. We're talking about changes that take place in puberty, and all the hard stuff is in the video or written in the book for the parent, and they just sit and have a very innocent conversation with their child, who now knows this information without the parent having to say it out loud or know what words to use. And so many parents, whether they're natural family planning teachers or pediatricians or physicians, they always come out of there saying, oh my goodness, I've never seen this done so beautifully. I never would have used that innocent language with them,
Right.
and then act 5 is the morality. Like, what do you do now? Like, I'm not getting married tomorrow. Like, how do I act? What do I do? What do I avoid? What do I shut off on my phone if I have a phone? And then the older level 2, not only takes you through the puberty changes, but that's where the most beautiful video on the facts of life you've ever seen. How God created these people to love each other, give these hormones that make them attracted to one another. They get married and it has a bride dress and everything, but then it says that they come together in the marriage act. And it doesn't necessarily describe the act, but it insinuates it enough that the kid knows what's going on and the parent doesn't have to explain anything more. And then very simple things are explained, like the opposite sex reproductive systems. So then they say that the marriage act can only happen with a man and a woman because they each have a different reproductive system. So we don't go into the morality of gay marriage or anything like that, but the deduction is, oh, that's why the Catholic Church says only a man and woman could be married, because you can't consummate a marriage if you've got the opposite reproductive organs, so it helps the kids, in the deduction, in the video. It'll be simple without being like slapping you in the face with moral issues or political issues. So it's just absolutely beautiful. And then again, the what to do, and then the Act 6 for both the level 1 and level 2 is a prayer service where the parent blesses the child, the child prays for the parent, and they go off to bring more love into the world. So Love Ed is about bringing love into the world and knowing how married couples do that, but how the rest of us do it the rest of the day and the rest of our life, whether or not we're married, that we do have a call. We touch upon vocations, all sorts of virtues. So it's story-based, it's high quality, very user-friendly, very positive. Actually, one diocese said they've never seen a program that presumes innocence of children and early young adolescents. Most of them think, all right, everybody sins, here's how we're gonna come out of it. And this one presumes everybody's innocent from the beginning. So it's absolutely beautiful, especially for parents who've worked so hard to protect their kids' innocence. You do want your kid to be strong, smart, and pure, and you've been working on this from the beginning. So there are 5 seminars, and actually I can come to a parish or a diocese and do a training for them if they want, or me to do their parents meeting first, and then they put on the level 1 boy, level 2 boy, level 1 girl, level 2 girl, and I can train their facilitators on how to put it on themselves, no matter where they are in the country. So it's quite unique. It empowers parents. It's uplifting, and parents walk out of there so happy. They dads walk in nervous, sons walk in nervous. What are they going to say? What are they going to talk about? Because they know that there's something out there that they don't want to hear about, but to educate them with such great innocence and beauty and make this beautiful, true, and good, it makes my Love Ed program so unique. So we've got the preteen seminar, that's level 1, and the young teen, level 2, or whenever your child's ready to hear all the facts of life about marriage, and then separate boys and girls, because boys do not want to hear the same things that girls do at 10 years old. Boys that are 14, they're in different planets. They have different interests. So there'll be a separate video and a separate book for boys and girls. And in the books, I carry through the story of the kids that are in the video. So I'll talk about the, Mariana and Joey and, what problems they had. And then we carry their story through so the kid can read. Besides the video seminar, they've got 6 more chapters to read at home and fill in the discussion questions and discuss those with their parents. So that the parent and child go to the video seminar together, then they discuss these 6 more chapters at home. And this is how it opens up a conversation where a parent is prepared you can discuss anything after what parents have told me. After you've been through the Love Ed program and you've really done all your follow-up chapters, you can discuss almost anything with your child. So many parents have told me that, because this makes it so easy to open the conversation about sacred subjects and private subjects. And then they realize those are private and sacred. You don't discuss them at a slumber party or classroom, or that's why I'm pulling you out of sex ed at your school, because they're going to be presenting this in a crass secular way. They don't see it how God sees it. So it helps them see how the creator of the universe and the creator of you sees this marriage act, family life, chastity, love, and how to live that out. So I get excited about it, as you can tell. You ask me one question, I'll talk for 20 minutes about it. But Love Ed is absolutely beautiful. A parent program, father-son, 2 levels, mother-daughter, 2 levels. You can get it at my website, respect4u.com. And even if their parish chooses not to use it, I mean, the best thing is the parish to put it on, because then everybody in your religious ed class, your CCD class, your classroom has heard the same thing. that helps the positive peer pressure. It helps the positive peer pressure for parents. But even if your parish doesn't put it on, you can just buy the parent's guide yourself, stream the videos. You can buy your child's level book, like girls level 1, if you have a 9-year-old, 10-year-old girl that's approaching puberty right now, and you can just buy the parent guide, buy the level 1 girls book, and then stream the videos. So through 10 Books and St. Benedict Press, you buy the whole program for the parish. But if they just want a book and streaming rights to the videos, they would go to my website, respect4u.com, respect the number 4, the letter u.com, and just look at the different Love Ed programs description and see which of the Love Ed books, besides the parent guide, or maybe just the parent guide, are appropriate for them. So that's a description of Love Ed, the most unique, cutting edge program that empowers parents and grandparents. Oh, this summer I went through Love Ed with my own grandchildren because their parents didn't have time. So one was going to high school. I'm like, boy, you got it. So I'd spent weeks with them. We spread it out, a video a day, and then they do a chapter afterwards, a couple of weeks. So I did it with my grandchildren, the one that was going to high school, and then the one that was going into middle school, 5th to 6th grade. I did still level 1 with her because she wasn't ready for level 2 yet. So grandparents, parents, godparents, get a Love Ed for the appropriate age and empower these kids so that when they hear the garbage, they know it's garbage.
Right.
And they'll just like shut it out. And that's what it means to be innocent, not ignorant. When you're innocent but not ignorant, instead of like your curiosity dragging you into evil, you'll be like, I know about that. They're wrong. I know what God wants, and God's always right. So it doesn't become like an issue for everybody. Okay.
True. Yeah. No, I mean, like you said, you get really excited about it. I don't know if you can tell, but I was like smiling and the whole time you were talking about because I was really getting excited. And I mean, because I'm at, men's group in my parish, Coleen, and, it's always like, what, we want to do a study or we want to do a seminar or, discussion, but we don't really know what to do. There's so much stuff out there, or, we don't really know where to look and what can we trust. And I mean, and also parents too these days are like, I don't know when. I mean, we talked about on the show before too. Is if my kid asks me a certain question, how do I respond? When is the right time to really start talking to them about stuff? And I think your stuff is really, like you said, just perfect because it makes the kids learn about it and the parents walk away. You're like, wow, I didn't even know that too. So it really goes hand in hand, I think, with both the student, with the child, and also with the parent for future use.
And when you said the men's group, it reminded me one time I had a Knights of Columbus group sponsor the father-son events with the pizza party in between if you had 2 sons or had to go get one home at the fire station. Now, how much more masculine does that get? So the guys are like, yeah, we're going to the fire station with the Knights of Columbus to teach our sons how to be real men. So a men's group can certainly sponsor Love Ed for the parish. And then the women will say, how come you're not doing it for women? Like, well, go ahead. You do a women's one.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm just going to throw this question in there, Coleen. I mean, like a lot of people, at least a lot of people that I talk to about different discussions and different stuff, seminars at the parish are like, man, I wish we had more discussion time. And I like like you said, you have seminars and then you bring kind of discussion more at home too, more private discussion with the kid and with you as a parent. I mean, I'm just kind of throwing out there as just kind of a unique question is that, do you have like a time? What, how much time should you set aside, whether that's at the church discussing things or whether at home discussing things? Because again, I always hear we never have enough time or we never got as deep as we wanted to go. So how much time should you set aside?
That's a really good question. All right, we set up the parent seminar, and there's a facilitator guide as well, a 6th book called the Facilitator Guide for whoever wants to put that on for their parish or men's group or Knights of Columbus. I have a timetable set up, so when you do the video seminar, you watch video number 1, and then we give them about 10 minutes to discuss, which leaves them wanting more. But this is not a group discussion like the parents' night. This is just private, just father, son, mother, daughter. You have a set of questions. We give you about 10 minutes. And really, if you have more time, you need 15. So you either leave in wanting for more. So if you had a whole morning to do it like a father-son retreat, you'd watch the video and then 15-minute discussion. Because I also, if they finish the discussion questions early, have affirmation statements that they fill out. Dad, I see you being a loving person when you do this. Dad, I see you love God when you do this. And he says, son, I see you, loving God when you help your brother. So they have affirmation statements. So I'd say watch the short video and then 15 minutes in between, and then another short video, and then 15 minutes of private conversation. So if you did it with the 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, the event at the parish or the fire station or the men's group would be 2 hours long.
Wow.
That takes them through the video discussion program. And then when I did it with my grandkids, I just did one a day because I would talk longer, obviously, with them.
Nothing wrong with
They
that.
got the super course. And so, but then the 6 chapters afterwards that you take to home that are not at that 2-hour seminar, I would take a half an hour a week and spread them out over a week, over 6 weeks for the discussion. That's if your child and you read the book, the chapter beforehand. So you do the seminar that's 2 hours with 10 to 12 minutes discussion between each video. And then you take the rest of the book home, and you do chapter 1, like have your child read chapter 1 on their own, fill in the discussion questions, and then you can meet together unless you want to read the book together. It's up to the parent. So maybe a half an hour to read the chapter and then a half an hour for discussion, or you do the reading on your own and just a half-hour discussion. And you can do it once a night for 6 nights. But that seems to be hard on families. That's why the chapters afterwards, maybe once a week, but you have to commit to it. And so the night of the parish seminar, I have a page where it says, I know we're busy, so this is when we're going to do these next 6 lessons. And they have to fill it in before they leave the church, the parish hall. And so they say, we'll do this. Oh, no, we got basketball that night. Oh, no, we're going to Aunt Jones, And so they fill in when they're going to do the 6 chapters and commit to that. Of course, only God's going to remind them, but some parents will commit and finish it. Some, as you know, never will. That's why sometimes the grandma or godparent has to step in. So 2-hour seminar, and then about a 6 chapters that have a half an hour reading and a half an hour discussion. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I should have clarified that before. So in the parent seminar, it's a group discussion with small table discussions because they can talk to each other about that. They're grown up. But in the children's seminar, only private conversations with just the parent and child, not a group discussion. Because we protect their innocence there. There are kids who want to ask a question that the other kids shouldn't even hear the question, let alone the answer. And that's how we protect their innocence at the parish seminar. Okay.
Yep. And like you said, it's a great thing for a weeknight, or even if you're homeschooling, it's take that time out of the homeschooling day to do that, sit down with every child and do that. I think that's a great thing to do as well. Yeah. So I feel like we could keep going, Coleen, with this.
I know, but I know our time is up. They won't listen more than an hour, so we better stop, William.
I do, real quickly, if you could, in like 30 seconds to a minute, just I apologize. I didn't talk including your radio show in my intro. So can you just briefly talk about your radio show on EWTN?
You're right. Yeah. Now parents can call me anytime on Saturday mornings between 9 and 11 Eastern time, 8 to 10 Central. My radio show is called Mast Appeal, offering free, friendly advice from a Catholic perspective. I've actually been on the radio 24 years giving out free, friendly advice from a Catholic perspective. And our show is produced by Ave Maria Radio in Michigan. It's syndicated by EWTN, Global Catholic Radio Network. They can get it online on the Ave Maria Radio app. They can get it on the EWTN app, Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 Central. And people call in. I have no idea what the questions are, and I trust in the Holy Spirit using all these different files in my brain, all these years of experience and family life and teaching and training people and writing programs, that the Holy Spirit just kind of uses my brain and pulls out an answer. Well, I'll sit there and go, wow, Holy Spirit, you did a good job there. So people call in with any particular problem. It might be a marriage problem. It might be how to mend a bridge with a estranged relative, or a problem with your child, or a problem with your parent, or a decision you're trying to make. So I'll offer consolation, I'll offer advice, I'll offer just a second opinion if they're to solve an argument. So listen at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Saturday mornings for 2 hours, and they can call in 877-5-PEP-TALK. But I'll say it on the show, 877-5-PEP-TALK. Any personal problems or questions that they have, whether it's about Love Ed or implementing Love Ed, or just any general question about how to live out your Catholic faith, commandments, virtues, problem solving, that kind of thing. So that's what I do on Saturday mornings on the show called Mast Appeal, produced by Ave Maria Radio in Michigan and syndicated by EWTN. And many, probably 300 or 400 of local Catholic radio stations all around the country take the show and broadcast it live.
Nice.
Some broadcast it later, but they can hear it live Saturday mornings if they have a Catholic radio station that uses the EWTN syndicate.
Gotcha. Well,
Thanks for
congratulations.
asking about that. Yeah, we don't want to forget.
No, congratulations on 24 years. I know, whether that's, if you're in Holy Oils having like 20 years, or if you're, a Catholic author or a Catholic, evangelist, being on Catholic radio for 24 years, that is saying something. So, we'll just thank you for answering God's call on that.
You're welcome. It was all his idea. Nobody that came of age in the 70s would have thought to be a chastity educator or giving out Catholic advice on a radio. Those careers did not even exist back when I was doing my plan. So we know it's all God's plan, and I love him with a passion.
Awesome. No, that's one thing there. Yeah, you gotta love God, and like I say, love your family, love God, and
All your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Yeah, exactly. Coleen Mast, again, author, Whale Show host, speaker. We'll have the links to her down below in the description, show notes, so please check them out, folks. Coleen, sorry for keeping you a little later than I expected, but thank you so much for your time today, and we'll hope to have you back on sometime in the future.
It's been a pleasure to be with you. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Catholic Table Talk podcast, where everything Catholic is on the table. Don't forget to subscribe to Catholic Table Talk on your favorite podcast platform to get new episodes delivered directly to you every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern.